Hello, welcome back to the Spirituality with Ashley podcast. I am your host, Ashley, and if it's your first time here, welcome. All right, guys, I have not done a spiritual bestie catch up in a while, and I'm feeling like it's time. We need one. We need to catch up on all the things. I just want to ramble at you and sip on water and just tell you about the things that have been happening in my head. Okay. So I do have my little notebook with the things that I want to talk about. And oh man, do I have some things to share? Okay. I'm not even, do I? Yeah, I'm going to give an overview of what I'm going to be talking about. Okay. So I'm going to be talking about freeing your mind, being in the here and now, kind of what's been going on with me. Trying to do more of that, be in the present moment instead of allowing my energy to be drained by obsessing over things that have happened in the past or using the past as a predictor of the future or stressing about how I think a situation is going to go and just the dread that comes with that. And it's so stressful for no reason. It's a waste of your energy. It's an energy drain. And I do it and I hate it. So we're gonna talk about that. I went to a haunted house the day after Halloween. And while I don't like to make choices that I regret, I might regret this one a little bit. It was so traumatizing. Oh my God. So I'm going to talk about that and CPST and then CPTSD, man, all the letters. Nervous system regulation, survival mode. We're going to talk about that a little bit. I'm going to talk about vulnerability versus transparency. I tend to be transparent, but not always vulnerable. I did not know they were different. And then I want to talk about mood shifts, kind of what I've been doing as I've been releasing a lot of my suppressed emotions and processing and actually confronting the heavier things that I would otherwise much rather avoid, how I'm dealing with that. And then I got a psychic reading from somebody on Instagram. They had an ad and it totally reeled me in, did the thing, and I was so disappointed. And I want to talk about that. I was actually very bothered. Now I'm just disappointed because I realized I had an expectation. I thought I was going to get back what I give when I do readings, and it wasn't really what I got. And so we're going to talk about that. I honestly kind of want to talk about that first. Let's see. I am going to talk about that first because that's where we're at. Okay, so, oh my gosh, I'm so thirsty. Oh no, I dripped water. It's fine. I'm really taking this approach where I'm really trying to, first of all, I'm trying to stop saying trying because I feel like when you say you're trying to do something, that's that's like a non-committal, it's being non-committal. Like you're either going to do it or you're going to try to do it. Let's commit and say that we are going to do it. We're going to make this thing happen. I feel like when you say try, it's almost like, yeah, I'll give it my best shot. But if it doesn't happen, which is this, I mean, that's still the energy behind like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to make it happen. And I will adapt if it doesn't work out or happen the way that I wanted it to. But trying, that's not, when you say you're going to try, I just feel like that's not a hardcore commitment to really, steamroll your way into your goal and make it happen. I don't know. Okay. So anyway, yeah, what was I saying that I was trying to do? Oh my gosh. Who knows? I don't know. This is why I normally have more extensive notes, but it's okay. That's okay. We're having a best friend, a bestie, spiritual bestie catch up. So it's okay if I'm all over the place. Oh, I know what I was saying now. I'm trying to take, I'm not trying, I'm doing it. I am embodying more of my North Node, Taurus, in the ninth house energy. I'm trying to be more grounded and take things slow, set myself up for long-term success make gradual progress. I tend to just want to jump all in, dive headfirst into the pool, screw dipping your toes in. And I do still love, I very much love bringing that intense energy to everything that I do. But I also find that I tend to be very impulsive and very impatient. And I very much respect my friends who always Virgos, Virgo sons, who are able to take these very earth signs. They're able to take these baby steps and have these long-term goals. Like my sister was like, I want to be an actress. So this is my 5-year plan. I'm going to start with improv to desensitize myself and kind of get used to being on stage. I'm going to work on my craft. I'm going to learn other languages. And this chick took like 5 years and has been studying French like every day for 5 years. She went out and she did the improv thing and she got really good at it. And she did it for like 3 or 4 years. I'm not sure how long. She was amazing at it. And when she first started, she got so nervous, it felt like her head was going to explode because she was just terrified of making a fool of herself. And she pushed through. It's, I just love watching stuff like that. My other friend, um, my best friend Chelsea, she started a business called the Yoni Company. And I remember her talking about it. I remember when it started up, and then she just kept like expanding and having pop-up shops and an online store and like all this stuff and doing events and going to Africa and like wild. And it's just anytime either of them says anything to me about um I don't even know, but I always praise them and try to communicate how much I respect and admire that they're able to set these long-term goals and approach them with precision and patience. I love that. And I feel like I'm like, my goal is on the other side of like a hot coal walk, and you just like prance across it really quick to get to your goal. And that's so satisfying for me. But I'm getting into this part of my life where I'm like, oh, it's actually really satisfying to take my time and not rush through. And I'm loving that. So, yeah, that's where we're at. Trying to pull that energy in, bring that energy in, embody that, really embrace my sensuality and feminine, flowy energy and just being more calm and chill because I can show up and be like, hey, I'm here. What's up? I'm Ashley. Let's go. Like, just sometimes I love enthusiasm. I'm always going to bring the enthusiasm, but sometimes I want to show up and just be like cool, calm, and collected. I keep pulling myself away from the mic. Sometimes I just want to, pull up and bring like the Zoe Kravitz energy, you know? Wonder what her zodiac sign is Zoe Kravitz. Anyway, okay. So I got this psychic reading. I was scrolling through Instagram and it was an ad and I was just like, ooh. And so I looked up her page, I looked up her website, and I was like, oh, this looks very professional. Cool, cool. I looked through um kind of what it was, and I was just like, ooh, she's having a sale. And so I was like, oh, it was by Psychic Samira. Amazing marketing, copywriting, just the whole branding from the business perspective, wonderful. I've also gotten like a million emails since I got my reading with sales and coupons and just checking in to see how my reading was. And so everything outside of my actual reading is great. I even got my reading quickly. There was like an extra add-on, I think, for like $10, and you can get it within your reading sent to you within 24 hours instead of having to wait the few days or something. Anyway, I got my reading and I got the 3-question one. She has a few options. Oh my gosh, the reviews that I read said that it was so great. They were all so just stunned. The reading was so helpful, so spot on, so bang on, like so accurate, all these things. I got my reading and I was so underwhelmed. I was just like, you clearly took my birth date because I think I had to give her my birthday. So she took my birthday, which gave her that I am an Aries sun. Okay. And so she pulled a lot of like my Aries sun energy into the reading and was telling me all about kind of like that. Oh, you're an initiator, you're bold. And so that was woven throughout the reading to answer my questions. And my questions were about like my love life, my career. I was just like, what's coming up in the next month? Like that kind of stuff. just to, and I can get all that information for myself, but I was like, ooh, this is fun. I kind of want to see how other people are doing readings. And I was like, wow, either I'm over delivering or I'm over delivering because everyone loved her readings. And I know you can pay for reviews and all the other, crap. There's so many fake reviews out there, but just the disappointment. I honestly was very bothered. I walked out and I told my boyfriend and I just started ranting at him and I was like, I'm so bothered. I'm so good at what I do and like this chick clearly took my birth date and put that into chat GPT with like some, I don't know, but it felt like a very chat GPT reading. Like I was so disappointed. And as somebody who does professional psychic readings, I was like, this? And I've gotten professional psychic readings from other people who were actually like in my energy getting the information. The reason I'm so bothered by this, like, yeah, okay, it was a general, very superficial reading. Well, we might not all know this, but I don't like superficiality. I like depth. If I'm going to get a reading from you, I want you to give me details. Go in depth. Don't just stop at like, oh, you're bold and you're an initiator. And yeah, there's this very general energy of this. Like, if that's where you're stopping, I'm not going to appreciate the reading. And I'm realizing as I'm talking about it, which I needed to do, I'm a verbal processor. Talking about things helps me to process. And I'm realizing now that I'm being really judgy and I had expectations. I was disappointed because I had expectations that she was going to deliver this service like I deliver this service. And I tend to over deliver. I go above and beyond. I'm currently working on matching my prices with what you get from whatever service I'm offering, because I do have a pattern of over delivering and undercharging. And so I actually am currently like switching my business model. I will still have offerings that are, priced at a lower price point so that everybody has access to my services. So like I will still have very yeah, I'll have different, I'll have high priced offers and I'll have lower priced ones and I'll have some mid-tier ones. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about that. So use your discernment, marketing and advertising. God, when people are good at it. And I am a salesperson's dream. I am just so here for it. I'm very susceptible to marketing. When it's good, put some nice colors in there, make it very neat and professional, and then like say the right words. I'm so on board. I'll buy it immediately. I was so disappointed. And I do readings for myself all the time. So like I kind of know, and I do readings for other people all the time too. And so I kind of understand, not kind of, I say kind of a lot when I don't mean kind of, I mean actually fully 100%. When I'm getting, when I'm giving somebody a reading, when I feel into your energy, I'll start out with like a more general statement, like, hey, this is kind of the energy. And then we'll dig in. And yeah, it was so surface level. I got absolutely nothing out of it. I think it was a few pages long too. And she just rambled on about me being an Aries, which was not helpful. And then was like, yeah, you're going through literally the information I gave her was what she gave back to me in my reading. And she just made it paragraphs longer than the one sentence note that I added when I asked my questions. Like, I got zero new information from the reading. So bothered. I want to say offended, but not really. But you know what? This is really helpful for me because it shows me, and actually now I'm paying attention to the signs because I just did a psychic reading for somebody else, one of my friends, and she booked it through my Instagram because I have all my psychic readings on there. I don't have them on my website yet. Um, anyway, and so if you want to book a psychic reading anywhere from one question or just 5 minutes up to 15, 20 minutes, I think, maybe even up to 30 minutes. I don't remember. But I have different options if you go to my Instagram for psychic readings, and you get them pretty fast. I love doing them. They're so fun. Very quick turnaround. Anyway, I did one of those, and the feedback that I got was, this is so much more than I was expecting. And I get that feedback more often than not. 95% of the time when I do readings for people, they're like, wow, this is so much more than I was expecting. And I'm always like, really? Because I feel like I could have done more. really excited about healing this people pleaser inadequacy energy that I'm apparently still carrying around in my backpack of trauma. So I'm going to continue to let that go. I am really leaning into the emotion code lately to let go and release a lot of my trapped emotions. I don't talk about the emotion code enough. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. I need to talk about it more. It is such a powerful energy healing modality. When I say energy healing, it can also help with physical stuff that you're going through, emotional stuff, letting go of negative patterns, releasing trapped or suppressed emotions. Like that's what it is for. Getting rid of stagnant, stale energy that's in your energy field or blocking you. That's what the emotion code is for, letting go of that stuff. And we all have emotional baggage. So you can still book an emotion code session on my website. You can do it in person, not in person, but we can do it over Zoom or we can do it through email. You don't have to be present like in front of me for me to do it. It's energy work. So it's really intention. But anyway, yeah. So one of my friends, I was catching up with her a couple days ago and she was like, oh yeah, by the way, because I don't get too much feedback from people about emotion code stuff, which is great. I mean, I don't mind if you're good to go and you're living your life, then go on and live your life. Don't worry about coming back to me to be like, it's fixed, Ashley. That's fine. But I do love when people do come back and they're like, hey, I actually am not feeling this pain anymore. And we did a few sessions for her sleep, for her dog, because her dog wasn't listening. He's so cute and sweet. And after we did the emotion code, I think it took one session for her dog and he started listening. He was trained and he just wasn't listening to her when she was giving him commands. And after the one session, he started listening to her. It was really cool. And then we did another session for her neck pain that she had, really chronic neck pain. So I think it took one session, maybe two. And yeah, she let me know that she hasn't had neck pain since our last session, which is so cool. I use the emotion code a lot for my emotional stuff to release a lot of my anger. I have a lot of pent up anger and rage from childhood and from not using my voice as an adult, carried on from childhood, not using my voice. So I'm using it for that. I use it for ancestral trauma. I use it when I'm scared of something. I use it to release blocks for running my business, for blocks when it comes to my fear around connecting with spirit. I don't really have fear around connecting with spirit anymore. I've worked through that. It took a little while. Um, Now when I have disconnection issues, it's like, oh no, am I still psychic? Can I still get information? And it's usually just my ego because I'm being weird, having an energy shift that day. Very mercurial and moody, and I'm okay with it. It's who I am. Okay. So speaking of mood shifts, that's the perfect segue. So I have been really moody lately. So moody. And I know that it's because I have been really taking the time and committing to facing the heavier emotions that I've been avoiding. I've really been focusing on processing my grief, allowing myself to feel anger, allowing myself to cry, allowing myself to feel the resentment I feel toward my mom. And as I'm doing all of this stuff, sometimes I fall back into my old patterns and then I don't journal and I don't meditate and I do other things to distract myself. And then I'll get super moody and then I'll get super irritable and I'll get really snappy. And I love having Rocket around, my puppy. Well, she's about 8, 9 months now. She's almost a dog. She's still a puppy. And that she's a great gauge for me because when I have zero patience or I get super irritated super fast with her, I'm like, oh, I need to meditate. And I think I've mentioned this before, but my boyfriend's really good about being like, hey, have you meditated? And you're having a hard time. Have you meditated? He said that to me, I think it was yesterday. And I was like, or the day before yesterday. And I was like, I have not meditated. I was having a really hard time on Saturday. I was in the worst mood and it felt like it was for no reason, but it was my emotions. And I've also learned from human design, I forgot what thing it is, what marker it is, but I have the thing where you'll have these emotional fluctuations. And sometimes I'll be down for no apparent reason. And then sometimes I'll be up like in a really great mood. And I just have to kind of honor the fluctuation in my moods. And I tend to always want to know why. Like, oh, well, why am I in a bad mood? Why am I irritable? Let me dig into the root and get under there, get in deep. But sometimes it's just, you know, your energy being affected by other energies, or like I said, your nervous system, or things coming up. When you're not giving them the space to come up, they'll just come up and throw your mood off. And so I've been not meditating as much as I usually do. I mean, I do sessions for people every day. I do readings all the time now, which is wonderful. And I'm absolutely loving it. And so I always ground and I'll meditate and I'll do a little breathing beforehand, sometimes 20 minutes, sometimes 3 minutes. It just kind of depends. But I haven't really been doing meditation for myself, and it makes a huge difference. So yeah, that's where I'm at with that. I used to feel really guilty when I didn't meditate or when I wasn't, doing readings for myself and checking in for myself. And I got a reading from Christos and Foster. Can't remember their last names right now, but they're amazing. Definitely look them up. I think it's thegoldenhummingbird.com is their website. They're so great. Oh my gosh. And I think I remember Christos telling me in my reading that I had with both of them last year that, oh shoot, what did he say? What were we talking about? I mean, he said a lot of stuff. It was very long, in depth. I think it was like a 3 hour reading. It was wild. It was so good. I honestly want to get another one. It was so good. It was just so much information. I think I had like 4 pages of notes. I shoot. I totally forgot what I was going to say about that. Oh, he was saying that it's great that I'm connecting in for other people and for my business, but I really need to be doing it for myself. Like that's an important part of my self-care and my personal practices. And sometimes I'm good about it and sometimes I'm not. Hey, I'll get better at it. It's a habit that I'm building. And actually, I'm getting better at it because I'm finding out kind of like what my rhythm is. I tend to do this thing where I'm like, I'm all in. I'm gonna go full in. I have a schedule and I've got like a spreadsheet and I have all my tools and I have my area set up and I'm like, I'm in it to win it. But I'm like all in or I'm not doing it. So I need to get better at like going with the flow, honoring my energy, like I was talking about, and like, hey, maybe I'll do readings for myself and I'll meditate and I'll check in for like 4 days in a row and then I skip 2 days, but then I get back to it and I do it for 3 days instead of doing this thing where I'm like, oh no, I haven't meditated in a few days. And then it's almost like I avoid doing it because I have this weird guilt avoidance thing. And then so I just continue not doing it. And then I get into worse and worse and worse moods. And then it just kind of, I dwell there and then it's a perpetual cycle. It's weird. So first of all, super grateful that I have a boyfriend that reminds me, like, hey, did you meditate? Love that he checks in with me like that. I I'm going to get better about doing it for myself. And I am actually experimenting with some other practices. I've started dancing more. Love that because I'm all about the somatic stuff and like physically releasing things and connecting with my body. And so I've been like dancing in the shower. Oh my God, just like closing my eyes and just doing whatever. I love dancing in the shower in the bathroom. Something about the shower in the bathroom for me. My thinking spot. It's just so good. It's good stuff. It's good times. All right. Next thing, vulnerability versus transparency. Oh my gosh. Okay. I think I was listening to a podcast. I don't remember who said it. Gosh, nope, I don't. I actually think it was a TikTok I saw. And yeah, and I think it was a therapist talking about it. My algorithm is like spirituality, psychology, and random other stuff. Love my algorithms on social media. Anyway, though, so vulnerability, excuse me, is when you are sharing how you feel about something. Transparency is sharing the something. I often tend to be transparent. I will tell you all kinds of stuff. I'm a pretty open book. I'm not, I don't really have much to hide, honestly. And I love honesty. I love openness. I love rawness. And so I'm generally very open and honest and raw. I don't generally always share my feelings about the events or the happenings or the things that I'm talking about. And so while I thought that I was being vulnerable and opening up, I was actually just being transparent. They are not one and the same. So it's so funny because like I'll easily call out my partner when we're having a conversation and I'll be like, well, how do you feel about that? And I used to do it to my mom too when I knew I didn't know any better and I was being a hypocrite. I was doing the same thing, but I was like, it's so easy to see it in other people. And I'd be like, well, how do you feel about it? And then my mom would describe the event. And I was like, no, what's the emotion? How do you feel? And apparently emotions and feelings are different too, but that's a different episode. We're not talking about that right now. Also, because I probably couldn't explain to you the difference. So that's also why we're skipping it. Bookmark. We'll dog ear that for later. But I used to do that to my mom, and I'd ask her how she was feeling about something. She would describe the events, and I'd be like, no, give me an emotion. And she literally, it was like all she heard was tell me about the event. And it was like it didn't click when I asked her to equate it to a feeling. It was almost like she couldn't. She didn't have the emotional capacity to label the emotion. And I remember when I was married and I started going through counseling and learning that I didn't learn a lot of these things, like how to understand what you're feeling, how to label your emotions. I never learned that. I never understood how to identify what I was feeling. I learned to shove it down, sweep it under the rug, and put on a smile and be happy because it's unpleasant if you're not happy. And I love my mom so much. She really had such a positive influence on me in so many ways. And I want to talk about that more because I feel like I talk about healing a lot and I talk about a lot of the like her flaws and things, but I would like to also share how uplifting and encouraging she was. Like, man, she always in shoot. I'm about to cry. And I have to cry because I just talked about being vulnerable. No, whatever. I'm gonna embrace it. So yeah, she was so uplifting and encouraging. And I remember when I was a kid, she told me that I could be whatever I wanted to be when I grew up. It's weird that I'm crying about this because I feel like it's so like whatever, but I think it's just I think it's just nice to talk about my mom because I haven't like been talking about her. I don't really I don't yeah. I love when people ask me about her and ask me about my experiences with her and like my memories. I love that. Yeah. So I've noticed when I've been talking about her lately, it's in the context of my healing and things that I didn't get from her. But I got a lot from her. I got my art skills. She's such a talented artist. She was so generous and helpful. She was so good at keeping in touch with people. Oh my gosh. She would always like send people holiday cards and send them gifts and get them souvenirs. And she was so much fun. She took me to Cancun on my 18th birthday when I graduated from high school and like she was on the bar dancing. Such a good time. Ah, thanks. Thank you for allowing me to have that moment. That was nice. And I don't have any tissues, so we're just here. Okay. And I'm not getting up because I don't feel like pausing this and then editing. So, ugh, face is all swollen now. Whatever. Emotions are beautiful. So, next topic I wanted to talk about. All right. Whew. All right. Just take a sip of water. That was challenging. Old Ashley would have swallowed her emotions, absolutely not cried on camera, and would have immediately detached because that's what my previous pattern was. Detached from my emotions, detached from my body, and just be dissociated so that I don't have to feel the pain or discomfort of emotions and physical connection. Wild. It feels so good to lean into it though. Oh my gosh, let me tell you. I mean, it used to be terrifying. It's not terrifying anymore. Now it's just uncomfortable to feel my feelings in the moment. Um, yeah, it's getting more normal. It's getting easier. I'm accepting it more. I'm not judging myself as much, which is gosh, it's so great. I used to judge myself so much. Like, no, you can't cry in public. What are people going to think? Nobody wants to be uncomfortable. Other people are going to cry if you're crying. Like, no, nope, I'm having my experience. You can share it with me or you can not, and that's your choice. But it's not my place to decide for you. All I can do is be myself. So that's where I'm at. That's what I'm doing. Okay. Moving on to the haunted house. I used to love haunted, scary horror movies and haunted houses and stuff. Haven't been to one in a while. I really like Halloween. I like dressing up. So much fun. And I decided, I was like, ooh, I'm gonna go to a haunted house this year, like a haunted hayride. I live in the South. I'm in North Carolina. And so we've got a lot of like haunted hayride kind of deals. Anyway, there's this ranch here in Fayetteville where I live. And it's like a haunted ranch. And so they have like three big attractions. They've got the main haunted house and they've got this slaughterhouse. And it's on a ranch with animals, horses, goats, chickens, all kinds of stuff. You can also go just for the ranch and like pet the animals and feed them and stuff. But for the haunted house, it's on all this land. And it's like you are walking for a while because you're walking, you go into the first haunted house, you walk through the haunted house, and then you walk down to the next one, down the ranch, and then it's a slaughterhouse, and then you go to the next one, and it's like this, oh my God, it was like a spider nest thing. Oh my God, they did such an amazing job. Anyway, I was a dream client at this place because it's like it was my star role in the worst horror movie or best horror movie ever. I screamed like I was getting paid for it. The blood-curdling, bloody Mary, I'm getting murdered scream. I have it down to an like a science, not on purpose, but I definitely perfected it on Friday when I went to this haunted spectacle. Oh my God, I screamed so much and so loud that I felt like I was having a panic attack. It felt like I couldn't, by the time I got to the second attraction, the slaughterhouse, because it was, there were also woods. So like as you're walking from the haunted house to the next haunted house, you're walking along woods, almost on a trail. And so people are in the woods and then there are decorations and spider webs and shit everywhere. And so then people just kind of like creep out of nowhere from the shadows and start moving slowly and then like running full speed at you. And I know they're not allowed to touch me. I know this, but my brain was like, no, the reality is that you are in a horror movie and you're fighting for your life. Fight for your life right now. And they all heard me coming. I know they were excited about it. They were like, oh, this chick is going to be amazing. Let's get her. And they did. It was wonderful. I did a lot of running and a lot of screaming and a lot of curling into a ball because I do this thing when I get scared, I get paralyzed by fear. And I was like this as a child too. We need to have an episode where I talk about some of that. There were some situations where I freeze and I curl into a ball on the ground and I'm just like in a ball in the fetal position. That's what I do when I'm terrified. And which is not the best thing. It's definitely not a survival instinct to curl into a ball. Nope. And that happened a couple of times. And my boyfriend had to get me up and be like, come on, let's walk. One time I ran into a corner and I put my face in the corner and I was like, no, I just can't. It's so funny thinking about it now. It was such a good time. Afterward was probably more fun for me because during I was so petrified. And yeah, I afterward I thought about it and I was like, I think I'm gonna have a panic attack. Like at one point, my chest was so tight, everyone stopped. It was just me and my boyfriend, and like we weren't with a huge group of people. And so the people scaring us, everybody kind of stopped and were like, are you okay? Because it was hard for me to breathe. I was freaking out so much. And I realized after the fact, the reason I'm talking about this is because I wanted to talk about the perception of reality and how strong it is when fear is involved. Because I talk about fears and subconscious beliefs and stuff often, but it is so mind-blowing for me to experience it in real life in such a tangible way. So, and I have two examples. One of them is this arcade here. I think it's called Main Event. And there's a VR game where you sit in the thing and you put on the goggles and you hold on to the little railing or whatever because the ride moves. And it's like you're on a roller coaster and that's kind of what you see and all this stuff is happening and you're hitting things. And when I was in this VR game and sitting there on this ride, I wasn't actually going anywhere, but I remember just because the goggles, that's all you see. It's like your world. And I remember feeling like I was going to fall and having all the normal reactions, like I was really on this roller coaster, flying through the air and running into things. And I remember thinking about it after the fact and thinking, like, man, is that what it's like for us being here on Earth in our incarnations? Is it actually like a VR game? But because our whole field of view is life, it feels like it's so real that we react and we act as if everything is life or death, even though it's not, because there is no technical life or death. We can't technically die. We are eternal spiritual beings. We're just wearing an avatar right now. And after this avatar, after this game is over, we're going to go and we'll put on another avatar. Like, it's just wild to think about that. And so, in the context of fears and subconscious beliefs, I think it's wild. And so I was at this haunted house and they told me, like I knew, everyone announced it, nobody can touch you. But as I was walking through, I was terrified that they were going to try to kill me. Like I thought they were going to touch me. I knew the rules of the game. I knew it wasn't real, but my brain and my body reacted like it was because of the external circumstances, because of what I saw, because of what I heard, because of my expectations that I was going to be scared. It was like I painted a picture in my head, and then my body and my mind reacted. This is why your beliefs and your inner world, why you being in sync with your reactions, your emotions, your inner world, and being aware of that, being connected to your body, being connected to your intuition, being connected to your emotions, all of that is so important so that you can be aware of what's impacting your experience. It's really interesting. Anyway, so outside of the whole perception of reality thing, which I could probably talk about for a while, but I just wanted to kind of touch on it. Might do another episode about that at some point. But the impact of fear completely shutting down my logic and being like, nope, this is real. I'm in a horror movie right now. So wild how strong fear is. Also wild that I was like, oh, you know what would be a great idea with me and my nervous system that I'm trying to heal? I should go to a haunted house and just let them redline my nervous system. Like, that's what I should do. It's a great idea, but why not do that? I was so high strung for the next like 48 hours. No wonder I was so moody on Saturday. And I told my boyfriend, I was like, I bet this is some of the tension coming. Like, I bet it's me still coming down from getting so revved up, so stimulated, so flooded with adrenaline because I literally thought I was surviving for my life when we went to that haunted house. And I was like, oh my God, when you are recovering from PTSD, CPSD, which I think is complex PTSD, where it's like instead of an acute event, it's kind of like a it's like you're how do I explain this? I haven't ever studied CPTSD, but my understanding is like PTSD, which is a more acute version, I think can happen from one event. CPSD is from having like multiple repetitive traumatic events happen. And so it creates this complex PTSD, which is I think it's slightly different from PTSD. I'm not a medical professional. This is not my field. But anyway, I love social media for the educational component and anecdotal stuff, people's stories mostly, because is it education? Sometimes. I think a lot of it is people sharing their experiences and their opinions. So always take it with a grain of salt and do your own research. But there was this person, I've seen a few people talk about CPTSD. And so that's kind of where I'm getting my understanding of it. And so I've been operating in survival mode for a long time. I've had a lot of trauma. I've gotten used to storing that trauma and then not processing it. I'm now processing it, not storing trauma as much, and actually like moving through my life in a more healthy way. And going to a haunted house just triggers your nervous system. And as somebody trying to calm their nervous system, trying to regulate their nervous system, trying to feel more peace and less stress and chaos and dysfunction, going to a haunted house probably wasn't the best choice, but it was a lot of fun. I wouldn't take it back. It was a lot of fun. It was a good story, cool experience. I'm probably not going to go to a haunted house for a while until I am able to regulate my nervous system and actually bring myself back down to a very calm, grounded level state. Because I feel like even though I've been doing a lot of the work, of regulating my nervous system. And I've noticed a lot of differences. Like, I am not as high strung as I used to be. Oh my gosh, it's so amazing when like you actually are living the results of the work you're doing. Oh my God, it's so satisfying. And so I am noticing a huge impact from the inner work and somatic stuff that I'm doing and like all the things that I'm doing. I'm noticing a difference, which is nice. Okay. And then freeing your mind, being here now. That's the last thing that I wanted to talk about. And I know a lot of us are dealing with control, trying to control our realities, trying to control our relationships, trying to control the people in our lives, trying to control situations, trying to control energies. Just control makes you feel like you are safer when you don't feel safe. And I feel like I want to say it gives you the illusion of safety in the absence of safety, the feeling of safety. And so freeing your mind means being in the present moment. I saw a reel about this. This Buddhist guy was talking about it, and I was like, this is gold. I've heard it a million times before, but I just needed to hear it in that moment. So I'm going to repeat it. And he was saying that being in the present moment, not thinking about the past, not letting the past affect you, not worrying about the future, being focused on what's going to happen in the future, and just being in the moment, that is the greatest gift. That's the only thing that actually exists. Past, that doesn't exist anymore. Future doesn't exist yet. All we have is this moment. And it was so timely because my life keeps going through these transitions. This year has been wild. I've gone through so many like huge life transitions in the past year. Career wise, relationship wise, just family wise, so many things. Perspective, healing. And I have some more changes coming up. And I I was dreading or had a lot of apprehension about one of them. And it's because my previous experience is related to this situation, which I'm not going to talk about yet. My previous experiences were rooted in pain. And so going back into a similar situation or having to face this stuff again has been bringing up a lot of emotions. And I was talking to my sister about it, and she was like, you were different the last time you went through this. And she listed all the ways, all of the things that had changed. And I was like, oh my gosh, so much has changed. I'm not the same person as the last time I went through this thing. And so I can approach it with a completely fresh perspective. I don't know how it's going to feel. I don't know what's going to happen. I might love it. It might be perfect. Like, but because of my attachment to my emotions and the things that happened in the past that I probably haven't fully processed, I haven't actually. I made that realization yesterday. I was like, oh, the reason I'm feeling like this is because I still have very much unprocessed feelings from this situation. And in the moment when you're feeling heavy feelings or negative feelings or intense emotions, dread, you really don't want to do it. You're terrified, you're very nervous. It's hard to ground yourself and realize you're doing it to yourself in the moment. You're making yourself stressed. You could choose to let go of your attachment to any emotions around that situation. That situation is not here yet. So let it be. Allow what is to be. Enjoy your life in this moment. What are you grateful for in this moment? I'm grateful that I have oxygen to breathe. I get to breathe without wearing a mask. I get to breathe without wearing something over my head. I can walk outside with just my skin and I can feel the sun and I can feel the breeze. I have my arms and my legs working. My vaginal health is really great right now. As somebody who has suffered from sexual trauma as a child that kind of messed with my whole vaginal health situation. And so whenever my vagina is living its best life and she's doing well and doesn't have some kind of infection like a UTI or a yeast infection or something, whenever she is happy, I am happy. Because it's so uncomfortable when she is not happy. Like I have so much stuff to be grateful for, but I was using my energy and my time to focus on this impending thing that I was going to go through. And it was such a waste of my energy. The thing came around. It was fine. It was great. There was nothing to dread. And I realized we have so much more power. And I talk about this so much, but when you live through it and the situations pop up, it's a little different. We have so much power over our lives. It is so wild. And we've been taught that we don't. And I know technically we don't have control over anything except for our perspective and the way that we feel. Yes, random emotions can pop up, but you get to choose how you feel. In a bad mood, go watch some cat videos on YouTube. You made the choice to laugh and be in this like cutesy thing. I bet you'll end up feeling better. So in that case, you chose to feel better. You chose not to ruminate and dwell on the thing that you were thinking about that made you feel not good. You chose to place your attention on something that made you feel good. Therefore, you chose to feel better. If something is bothering you, you don't have to keep on thinking about it. You continuing to worry and stress about it isn't going to change the thing. It's just wasting your energy. So either if you can't control it, let go of it or change the way that you're looking at it. And I loved that because that's how it goes. Nothing is bad until we label it as bad. We are the ones who attribute meaning to the things in our lives. I'm just going to leave that there. Do with it what you will. All right. That was everything I wanted to talk about today. Thank you so much for coming along on this spiritual bestie date with me. It was so good to have you here. Love catching up. Hugs, kisses, mwah, mwah, mwah. And I will see you guys in the next episode. Until next time, keep dreaming big, living your best life.